Welcome to Dotnet technology video series. Today we will understand the concept of namespace. Namespace is nothing but it's a grouping of logically related identifier, class and types. It's a definition of namespace. And one of the advantage of using namespace is that it's avoid conflict with the element of an unrelated code which have the same name. For example, we have defined the class name, same class name in two different namespace, then it can't be conflicted at the time of execution. It's one of the advantage of namespace. It's act as a container like a disk folder for a classes organized into group usually based on functionality. All classes and types of .NET FCL means framework class library are organized in namespace. Implementing namespace in your code is a good habit because it is likely to save you from problem later when you want to reuse some of your code. Namespace do not correspond to file or directory name. Now we will understand how we can create the namespace and how we can use the created namespace. So here is the example of how to create namespace. It's a simple syntax. You have to remember that namespace, it's a keyword in .NET, and then after namespace name which you want to define, and the opening bracket and closing bracket. In between you can write your code. Here I have defined one of the example to creating the namespace. Namespace, it's a keyword, and then after demo is a namespace name. It's a opening bracket, it's a closing bracket. In between I have defined two class. One name is a student and the second name is a subject, in which mention one of the message with the help of console.writeLine. This is the student class and this is the subject class. In subject class, one method, info method is created, and in a student one method main. It's a entry point of your program. So it's a creating procedure of namespace. Syntax you must have to remember, which is namespace keyword space namespace name. And when you are going to use your namespace, at that time you have to follow further procedure which is mentioned in this slide. Here I am defining the procedure of how to use namespace. It's a using keyword, and then after name of your namespace which you have created in your program. In another class you have to define just using keyword. With the help of that you have to specify the name of namespace using space demo. Means demo namespace is we are using in that particular class file. Now subject class name and its object is created. Remember one more thing, system is a parent namespace of all namespace. It's a inbuilt namespace. Now I have created here class subject which is belong in the demo namespace. So when I am going to use such kind of namespace here, at that time I directly create the object of that particular class. You don't have to specify the namespace name before the class name because it's already using here. Otherwise you can write like that, system.console.writeLine. Console class is belong in the system namespace, and print message hello, simple message. And other thing is, when you are using such kind of namespace here, at that time you can also write like that, console.writeLine hello. So it's a procedure of how to use namespace. Now with the help of alias we can also use our namespace. It's a syntax is using keyword, then alias name is equal to actual name space name. For example, we are using here inbuilt namespace alias. System is an inbuilt namespace. We are assigning this namespace with the alias name sys. So at the time of execution, we can mention like that sys.console.writeLine. If we are not going to create any of the alias, at that time we can define like that system.console.writeLine. Otherwise, it's a alias name dot console.writeLine. So it's a procedure of defining alias. Now the next concept with the namespace is a nested namespace. When you are using the namespace in namespace, means nested procedure you have perform in namespace. It's a namespace demo in which again I have specify one of the namespace parent, one of the another namespace child, grandchild, then after class name, method name, and in which method is display. This is nested namespace. So it's a procedure of using nested namespace. It can be possible in the namespace. Nesting procedure and nesting concept can be implemented. Now the next thing is this is the default namespace which is provided in the .NET environment. One is a system.data. When you are using or working with the data source, at that time you can define system.data. Then system.drawing, provide access to drawing methods, pen class, color class. Likewise, drawing can be used. Input output, when you are working with the file, at that time system.io. Then system.net, internet protocol, HTTP workout, at that time you can define system.net. Then the system.security, security features are provided with the help of this namespace. System.web, when you are developing your application in a website, ASP.NET concept, at that time browser server communication take place. You can use system.web. Then system.xml, it includes the classes of XML support. So this is some of the example of previously already available namespace name. With the help of that, you can perform your application and execute your application. So it's a entire concept of namespace, in which we have discussed a definition, advantage, why we are using namespace, then after creating of namespace, using of namespace, then nested namespace, and some of the namespace classes I have discussed. I hope you understand the concept of namespace. Thank you for watching this video.